As an essential studies course in that level 2 personal wellness, one of the assignments is to do a behavior change project. Let's look at just a real quick review. There are many dimensions, as I mentioned in that previous overview, that you can look at in terms of working for your behavior change. So you can focus on any of those dimensions, and that should encompass the whole you. Recall that there are a number of behaviors that are associated in each one of those dimensions. So you perhaps might want to look in financial wellness and look in one of those behaviors itself. You might want to look in physical wellness and decide that you want to work on focusing on keeping track of your exercise. Maybe you want to take more steps. Maybe you want to change, you're not eating enough vegetables, you want to eat differently. So that's kind of gives you some ideas on how to think forward. So the behavior change process is not a snap. It doesn't mean that you just snap your fingers and all of a sudden you're doing something differently and everything is better. If it was that easy, we all would be doing everything perfectly. We know there are a lot of temptations. There are a number of incidences that happen every single day that can kind of get in the way. And those are interruptions, and sometimes there are barriers. A barrier is something that we're going to evaluate when we look at our behavior change plan, and I'm going to ask you to report on those. So before you think about your plan, you're going to kind of assess what you're currently doing and identify what it means to you. It has to be something that's important to you. And maybe identify someone who's going to be an accountability person and use some kind of a tracking method. So the target behavior is something that is an action. It is not an outcome. It is something that you choose to do. So it is an actionable decision. So if you want to do better in your study habits, or if you want to do better in a class, you determine study, maybe who you study with, days, times that you study, setting up a study plan. There are a number of steps that you can take to be able to meet that outcome of working toward a better grade in your class, making office hours with your faculty, for example. You learn about it. What ways can I reach my behavior? And then we find out some resources. The thing that needs to be in place overall is it needs to be important to you. If somebody tells you you need to, and this is where I don't like to should yourself, I should. You want it to be something that you want. You want to change. You want to become more active. You want to feel better about yourself. You want to be an intramural sport. You want to be able to get it needs to be important to you, not just important to someone else. Okay? And we're going to make small step goals that are going to help you to get to that overall goal. So for that motivation, it takes some components. Motivation, you need to believe that self-efficacy is having that belief. And part of that is having the self-talk of knowing that you can do it. You'll hear individuals say, I'm really horrible at math. That's negative self-talk. A different way of saying it is, math is a challenge for me, and I'm going to get some tutoring. That's different. That's not self-defeating. We want to talk to ourselves in a way that is not defeating. So our internal dialogue is really important. We want to be able to see and experience what is it going to feel like when we succeed. We want to take responsibility for it. We don't want to blame someone else for our lack of success that week. You know, what happened? Why didn't we make our little short-term goal? So it needs to be an internal responsibility. And sometimes hanging around people, well, I don't want to say sometimes, hanging around people that are supportive are really important. So if you wanted to stop smoking, for example, people to be surrounded by would be individuals that probably don't smoke. If you hang around people that smoke a lot, that's going to be very difficult because you'll be surrounded by that temptation. So role models and supportive individuals can really be helpful. We're going to look and think about what kind of barriers are going to be around. And you think about, if you think about what's going to get in the way and plan ahead, what am I going to do when that comes up? So I am looking at say I'm looking at how I'm eating a certain nutrient. I'm working on my protein intake, and I know I'm going out of town. So I have to think about, all right, how am I going to make sure that, how can I improve the likelihood that I'm going to be able to meet my goal? Maybe I have to carry some snacks with me. Maybe I have to think about some key foods that when I go to wherever I'm going, I'm going to look for those foods on the menu and choose those. So I plan ahead, and that way those barriers or those challenges, I've kind of got a plan already in place on what I'm going to do. That doesn't mean that you deny yourself, but you have a plan in place so that you're ready for it. And then we look at this readiness to change, and this is your trans-theoretical model of change, and pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. This is a circular, although it's not circular. We tend to want to get in a phase where we're ready to take action. We're ready to make that plan and take a step. Pre-contemplation means I don't care. So if you are currently not doing a behavior and someone says you really need to you need to stop smoking, and you're not ready to stop smoking, well, then don't do that. You have to be ready because remember, you need self-efficacy, you need to have an internal locus of control, and you really need to have the motivation to do it. And if you're not interested, then you're not ready. Then focus on something else. You want to find something that you want to improve upon that you are interested in. We're going to make that plan and then take steps toward it. And this is really what that plan looks like. It's figure 1.6 in your book. So we're going to look at that, and I'm going to give you an example in another video.